What is it that you don't know about these things? Well, what you probably know is that this week New York City made these things required. What you don't know is that this is probably the end game of a long process, and you probably don't know why. So there are some things you know and some things you don't know, but I bet you're getting the idea that there's a lot that you haven't found out yet. And we're going to help you understand it as best we can. As you listen to this video, be sure to watch it and not just listen, because certain things will only appear on the screen. They are important to your understanding of what's going on. Sorry if that's a little distracting. So there are two camps, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. If you haven't noticed, Western democracies have been radically divided along political lines, racial lines, sexual identity lines, economic lines, etc., since the presidency of this man. That is about when it started. Now, this channel does not believe that that particular president's party is to blame or that this man's party is to blame. We believe it is not a right or left issue. We believe it's an up and down issue, that both parties are working together for those that are up and attempting to harm those that are down. Who are you and me, the regular people, the citizens of the Western democracies? But this division has been ongoing since this man's presidency, about 10 years ago. And this is exactly what Jesus said would happen in the end times. You will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. This channel believes these things are an early stage of this division, betraying and hating. This should help you understand who is up and who is down. As we said, the downers are those like you and me, the regular people. The uppers are fallen angels who control the nations of this world and want as many as possible to fall away in the end times. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers, over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. The fallen angels are these cosmic powers of darkness in heavenly places who control our nations and control what we are seeing in the news. If you think guys like this, or this, or this, or even this, are those we are wrestling against, that is not true. They are pawns of the uppers, those trying to get the downers to fall away from the faith and renounce Jesus. These earthly rulers are pawns who will be thrown away and replaced with other pawns. The uppers create this right-left divide that we see, the racial divide, the sexual identity divide, to get us to take our eyes off the real enemies, who are the uppers, the fallen demonic forces, and cause us to fight with the wrong weapons. To think that politics will help, well, it won't. So now you know the opinion of this channel. It is not a political opinion, it is a spiritual one. If you disagree, that's fine, but you might be playing right into the hands of those attempting to destroy us, the uppers. And this channel believes these things are the end game of this challenge that we have been enduring for the past 18 months. That this challenge was likely created in order to get us to this end game where everyone on earth gets one of these things. And the reason was control of the masses. In the nation of China, they have something known as a social credit score system, where your ability to hold a job, your ability to buy and sell, and even your freedom is tied to how good a citizen China thinks you are. This channel believes these things are the first step in Western democracies toward a similar system as China has. It's something the uppers or fallen angels want very badly. they probably helped China develop their system as a trial run. But you see, in the Western democracies, a system like China's would not be easily accepted, where cameras with facial recognition software are in every street, watching your every move. And indoors, your phone, or this system, or this one, listen to your words. Very 1984. Orwell wasn't that far off with his predictions. Of course, the citizens of democracies would never willingly accept a system like that. But if it was presented as something that could save your life and return your freedom back to the way it used to be, then it would be readily accepted. That's where these things come into play. If something like were to take place, and the only way to protect yourself was one of these, then a person might just get one. And if they were told that those who didn't have one of these was dangerous, then a system to exclude those without would be acceptable to the whole public. It would be a public safety measure after all. Then once everyone was used to these things, as a normal way of life, other safety measures would be added to them. Other things that make you unsafe to others. Things like gun ownership. Things like your political views. Things like your views on sexual identity. And finally, things like your views on the Bible and the divinity of Jesus. Yes, eventually the uppers, the fallen angels, will twist these kind of things into the mark of the beast, where one cannot buy or sell without it. These things are not the mark of the beast. But can you see how denying Jesus and worshiping the Antichrist can eventually be made part of these things that will become a part of your everyday life? Your key to New York, as Mayor de Blasio called it. It will be a slow turning up of the temperature to boil the frog slowly. These things will be implemented over time, and one will hardly even notice. How are we so sure? Well, because of this stuff, which has been proven to reduce the mortality of this by this amount. If you aren't aware of this stuff, why, there's our proof. Something that effective, yet unknown by nearly everyone in Western democracies? If this stuff reduces mortality of this by this amount, that means that in the USA, where there have been this number, 480,000 were needless and could have probably been avoided using this stuff. But they weren't. What does that tell you? It tells this channel, The Lamp, that what they were trying to institute is of such massive importance to the uppers, the fallen angels, that they would allow 480,000 needless by hiding the effectiveness of that stuff. That's a pretty big deal. Remember that Satan's mission is to steal, kill, and destroy. The hiding of this stuff could be considered a modern-day Holocaust. Now, many Christians and conservatives have felt this stuff is the enemy, that they are either spiritually or physically dangerous. There certainly are these, but from our extensive research, it's much less than many assume. And many thinking these are what we should oppose without any real proof that these are overwhelmingly dangerous, we become the boy who cried wolf in the eyes of the public. We become the boy who cried wolf when the uppers or fallen angels decide to roll out these things. So opposing this makes our views on these other things seem like conspiracy theories. Now, this channel knows you may disagree with this opinion because distrust of these is so high. But it's not them that is the end game in our opinion. And by opposing them so strongly, we feel everyone is losing their ability to oppose the real end game of the fallen angels, which is these things. So this channel, The Lamp, believes that what is happening in New York is a trial run of doing this on a national basis. As soon as this other thing happens, then the USA will roll out a national plan. And we've been told that this will likely happen in September. So, should you take one of these things in order to get one of these things? Let me ask you a question. Do you think you can stop the uppers, the fallen angels, from instituting the mark of the beast at some point in the future? No, of course not. It's coming. It's in the Bible. So at some point, all of us will either go off the grid and hide or become martyrs. If you think God is calling you to one of these two choices right now, to go off the grid or to become a martyr, well, that is your choice. If you feel God is calling you to something else, to spread the gospel in the end times, to become a prayer warrior for others, and to explain the truth of who our real enemies are for a few more years, and then choose to hide and become a martyr when it actually becomes the mark of the beast. Either way, short of a miracle of God, those are going to be your options. The risk of taking one of these things is that you will fall asleep and not recognize they are boiling the frog slowly, and eventually you might fall away when it becomes the mark of the beast. That is why this channel exists, to try to help you keep awake, to shine light in a dark place.